In a world plagued by noise, doubt, and comparison, how do you remain calm? How do you silence the chaos within? The answer may lie not in modern self-help, but in the ancient mind of a Roman emperor, a philosopher king, a warrior of the mind, Marcus Aurelius. To Marcus, the fiercest battle was never against an enemy in armor. It was the war inside, against destructive thoughts, emotional turbulence, and mental clutter. Negative thinking was not just a nuisance, it was a threat to his virtue, his judgment, his peace. So how did he fight back? Not with weapons, but with stoic wisdom. Marcus wrote about building an inner citadel, a place within the mind, untouched by external chaos. When fears arose, he returned to this inner stronghold. If you are distressed by anything external, he said, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment. Think about that. The mind creates the monster, and the mind can also disarm it. Marcus practiced a kind of internal distancing. He would observe his thoughts like clouds, passing, shifting, dissolving. Instead of becoming the emotion, he examined it, named it, and often dismissed it. Does this thought help me become better? If not, why entertain it? Negative thinking feeds on your attention. Starve it. Marcus reminded himself daily, all things pass. Fear, anger, insecurity, they are visitors, transient, ephemeral. When you feel overwhelmed, remind yourself, this too will dissolve into dust. Nothing is permanent, not even pain. Perspective is power. To destroy negative thinking today, you don't need a toga, you need awareness. Try this. When a toxic thought arises, ask, is this useful? Detach. Don't argue. Observe. Remember that you are not your thoughts. You are their master. Like Marcus Aurelius, you can reclaim control, quiet the noise, and build your own inner empire. This is just the beginning. Loss is nothing else but change, and change is nature's delight. Marcus Aurelius. Suffering visits every life. Loss does not ask for permission. It arrives sometimes gently, sometimes like fire, and leaves nothing untouched. But Marcus Aurelius did not break. He suffered. He endured. And through it all, he remained composed. Marcus Aurelius buried 8 of his children. He lived through plague, war, and the betrayal of once trusted allies. And when his beloved wife Faustina died, he grieved deeply, yet he did not become bitter. He turned to reason, to nature, to philosophy. Accept everything that comes to you woven in the pattern of your destiny, for what could more aptly fit your needs. He knew, life was not cruel, it was simply unpredictable. Marcus faced suffering by confronting a truth most people run from. Everything ends, but instead of fearing this, he embraced it. Everything you see will soon alter and cease to exist. Think of how many before you have died, and how the world went on without them. This wasn't pessimism, it was clarity, and through that clarity he found a strange gift. Gratitude, because what is temporary is precious. To Marcus, pain was not punishment, it was a test and a teacher. Fire feeds on obstacles. He saw every hardship as a forge, shaping his judgment, sharpening his will, tempering his soul. He didn't ask, why me? He asked, what now? This shift, from resistance to response, is how he endured. Marcus reminded himself daily, you own nothing, not even the people you love. And so, he practiced the art of letting go, without resentment. Don't hanker after what you don't have. Instead, fix your attentions on the finest and best that you have, and imagine how much you'd long for these if they weren't in your possession. To suffer loss, and remain grateful, this is strength. How do you face grief like Marcus? First, accept that nothing lasts. Not joy, not pain, not people. Mourn, but don't attach your identity to sorrow. Reflect, not just on what was lost, but on what was given. Return to the present, where life still offers meaning, even after loss. You don't have to pretend you're unshaken. Marcus didn't. But you can choose to meet your suffering with honor, to carry grief, without letting it carry you. Marcus Aurelius faced loss, not with despair, but with depth, not with denial, but with understanding. This is how you destroy negative thinking, not by escaping life's pain, but by meeting it with courage, clarity, and compassion. The Stoics never promised life without pain. They only promised that you could still live well, even within it. Nowhere you can go is more peaceful, more free of interruptions than your own soul. Marcus Aurelius. We search for peace in faraway places, in nature, in silence, in escape. But Marcus Aurelius found peace right in the heart of chaos, because he learned something most people never do. Peace is not a place, it is a practice. Marcus Aurelius lived in constant turmoil, endless wars, political betrayal, public pressure, personal loss. Yet, in the middle of this storm, he wrote about stillness, not as a fantasy, but as a discipline. He didn't wait for peace, he cultivated it, moment by moment from within. People try to get away from it all, to the country, to the beach, to the mountains. You can get away from it anytime you like, by going within. Peace for Marcus wasn't about isolation, it was about inner alignment. He returned to his journal, his meditations, not to escape life, but to face it with clarity. He created stillness, not by avoiding life's noise, but by refusing to let it dictate his mind. To Marcus, peace came from understanding that life obeys a greater rhythm, a natural order. He observed nature and saw that nothing in it hurries, clings, or complains. Observe how the universe loves nothing so much as to change the things which are.
So why should you resist change? Accept it, flow with it, do your part, and release the rest.
In this surrender, not weakness, but wisdom, he found peace. Marcus taught that peace is the result of mental discipline. The mind is disturbed when it judges unnecessarily, desires endlessly, clings emotionally, but when the mind lets go, even briefly, the water clears. If you are troubled by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. Change the estimate. Change everything. You don't need to flee to a monastery to find peace. You practice peace when you respond, rather than react. Observe, without judgment. Accept, rather than resist. Peace is the result of presence, of restraint, of knowing that you are not the noise, but the one listening. Marcus Aurelius didn't have peace because the world gave it to him. He had peace because the world couldn't take it from him. Until then, return to your center, guard your peace, and remember, the world is loud, but your soul doesn't have to be. Today I escaped anxiety, or no, I discarded it, because it was within me, in my own perceptions, not outside. Marcus Aurelius, what do you fear? Loss? Judgment? The future? Now ask, where is that fear, truly? For Marcus Aurelius, fear was never in the world, it was in the mind. And so that's where he met it and dismantled it. As Roman emperor, Marcus faced crushing uncertainty. His reign was shadowed by violent revolts, deadly plagues, the death of his children, the constant threat of betrayal from within his court. He had every reason to be overwhelmed, but instead of collapsing, he reflected, he turned inward, he wrote, he reminded himself, fear is a reaction, but courage is a choice. Marcus mastered a timeless truth. We suffer most when we try to control what is not ours to control. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Fear thrives where control ends. So Marcus focused where his influence began, with his thoughts, his actions, his values. You cannot control the storm, but you can choose how you stand in the rain. Anxiety lives in the future, regret lives in the past. But Marcus trained himself to return again and again to the present. Never let the future disturb you. You will meet it with the same weapons of reason you use today. He saw time for what it was, a series of present choices, one moment, then another. And so he focused on the now, because now is where fear loses its voice. Much of our fear, Marcus believed, is rooted in death, in clinging to what we cannot keep. But death to him was not a horror, it was natural, inevitable, a return. Do not act as if you were going to live 10,000 years. Death hangs over you. While you live, while it is in your power, be good. He didn't deny fear, he disarmed it by seeing it clearly. What is fragile is precious. What is uncertain becomes sacred. So how do you face fear, anxiety, and uncertainty, like Marcus Aurelius? First, name it. Observe the fear without judgment. Then ask, is this within my control? If not, let it go. Return to the present. Breathe. Anchor. Focus on right action, here and now. Remember, you've faced storms before, you're still standing. You don't need to defeat fear. You only need to stand in front of it and not run. Until then, don't wait to feel fearless. Act, even while afraid. And remember, serenity is not the absence of storms, it's the stillness within them. You must build up your life action by action and be content if each one achieves its goal as far as possible. Marcus Aurelius. Discipline is not about punishment, it's about alignment. Resilience is not about suppression, it's about mastery. Few live this truth better than Marcus Aurelius. Emperor, general, philosopher. Marcus ruled an empire at war. He wrote his deepest reflections, not in luxury, but from military camps, under siege, in pain. Plague ravaged the empire. Enemies gathered at every border. Friends turned to traitors. But Marcus didn't collapse. He endured, because his discipline came from within. Marcus believed in action, deliberate, consistent, aligned with reason. Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. Discipline, to him, meant showing up, even when tired, afraid, or uncertain. Small choices, repeated daily, carved the character of a man. Not grand declarations, not emotion-driven bursts, but steady movement forward. Resilience is built when we train the will like a muscle. Marcus did this through journaling, self-reflection, and exposure to hardship. He didn't run from discomfort, he met it with presence. If it is endurable, then endure it. Stop complaining. You don't overcome pain by wishing it away. You overcome it by walking through it. with reason as your guide. Marcus Aurelius never claimed to be unshaken by emotion, but he refused to be ruled by it. He understood, feelings are waves, the disciplined mind is the anchor beneath. Choose not to be harmed, and you won't feel harmed. This isn't denial, it's dominion. Control begins where reactivity ends. Resilience is the refusal to let emotion dictate your direction. You don't need to rule an empire to practice this. You build discipline when you do what's right, not what's easy. When you rise early, even when no one sees. When you endure discomfort without complaint. Resilience isn't about never falling, it's about becoming someone who rises every time, like Marcus did, every single day. Until then, act with purpose, live with reason, and build your empire from within.